My name is Connie Pettitt, and today's date is April 29th, 2025. And my earliest remembrance of the Church of God was when I was about 12 years old. And my family had been going to another church from another denomination. But my mother had come in to the church years before, but my father wouldn't go with her. And I didn't even know a thing about church, Church of God or Pentecost. And one day I visited my mother's church, and she was happy, she was joyous. She had been sad for a long time, and so she was different. And I said, what have these people done to my mother? And something was different about her. And I remember the song they were singing. It was Because He Lives. And I'd heard Because He Lives all my life, but I had never heard it sung like that. And the music just touched me. It just came alive. And for the first time, I heard those words, Because He Lives. And I saw my mother, and I started to want to know, well, what is this about? And I quickly started coming to the church. We had children's ministries every summer. And when my older sister had started coming to the church, and one day the Spirit of God was moving, and they did something very strange to me. They invited us to the altar. And I was like, oh, Lord, am I going to act like my mother? But my sister nudged me, and she said, do you want to go down to the altar? And I said, I do, but I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen. And she said, come on, I'll go with you. And my sister had never done that before. And so I said, okay, I'm going. And when I went down there, I believe truly something happened, because when I went down that altar, I prayed, and I was just changed and crying. And it was just something that I will never, ever forget in my life. And as a result of that, a few years later, I was dating and in high school, and I met this young man, and he wanted us to go out. And I said, I can't go out with you because I only date people who go to my church. They got to be Pentecostal, and they got to go to Church of God. And he goes, well, I'll go. And I said, well, okay, sure. And you have to show up. You have to be there. And I wasn't expecting it. I completely had forgot I even had asked him. And he surprised me. He was there that Sunday morning. And I was praying. I said, oh, Lord, were they going to scare him off? They're going to scare him off. Something's going to happen. And guess what? It happened. They were raising their hands. They were acting such a way that I was afraid I was going to scare this new young pursuer off. And afterwards, I asked him, I said, well, what'd you think of my church? And he said, well, they believe the Bible, don't they? And I said, yes, they do. And I said, but what do you think about speaking in tongues? Have you ever heard of that? And he goes, it's in the Bible, isn't it? And I said, it is. And he said, well, I believe. And I married that man. I married him. And he didn't know a thing about Pentecost, and neither did I. But that's what the Spirit of God does, and I will never, ever forget it. It changed us both. And he's here today. He's here at our convention, and that's him in the background, just welcoming everybody. But that's what God does. Our spirit just bubbles over with joy, and that's what I'll always remember.